सन्मात्रमद्वयमनामयचिच्छरीरं तत्त्वं पदार्थनिगमामृतबोधरूपं कोऽहं विचारमहसैव च बोधनीयम् आनन्दमात्मरमणं शरणं प्रपद्ये।
ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। हरिः ॐ। यस्यान्तर्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नाम गोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो नानपुंसं न च स्त्रीं नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। सदाशिवसमुद्भूत शुद्धज्ञानैकरूपिणीं रमणाचार्यसम्पूर्णां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। इति पाठ രണ്ടാമത്. So, Ulladu Narpadu Anubandham, we are on the second verse. First Mangala Shlokam, then Satsangatve Nisangatvam, now the third verse. That is, that also speaks about the greatness of Satsanga. We spoke yesterday about how in the Bhagavatam Krishna said that it is he introduces the subject as the greatest secret in spiritual life. You are made to, the only way you are made to meditate, stay in a higher plane without your doership active. That is possible only when you are in the presence of a sage or when you have achieved the sahaja nirvikalpa sthiti. These two things. That means that state which is attained as the highest realization naturally happens in the presence of a Mahapurusha. Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Abhido Brahmanirvanam vartate viditatmanam. Those who have known the Atman, around them, nearby them, Brahma Nirvana will be felt. It will be wafting around. So, Bhagavan also gives great importance to satsanga. In the yesterday the verse, Bhagavan said, it is not casual, informal satsanga. He uses a word in Tamil, uṟavu. Means really you should get connected with the sage. Sādhu uṟavu. It is also true with Bhagavan, God also. Bhagavatam says, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they hated Narayana, but they attained. That too very quickly. Because the relationship was very intense. And Narada says, you cannot get related with God by doing bhakti so intensely as you can do by hating. न तथा भक्ति योगेन इति मे निश्चिता मतिः यथा वैरानुबन्धेन मर्त्यः तन्मयतां यात् न तथा भक्ति योगेन इति मे निश्चिता मतिः. Vairanubandham means getting deeply related by hating. They chose that path so that they can return very quickly. This is Jaya Vichaya. So the spiritual process happens in that way, but not the spiritual joy. By hating, you cannot have a joyful existence. But certain people choose that. Somehow, certain jiva choose that. We cannot say certain person choose that. Certain jiva. That is why even for Bhagavan there were people who were hating him. There were people who went against the ashram, gave case, all this, because that is their spiritual path. If you accept like that, you will not hate them also. Then you will understand why this phenomenon is working. Only that way they can attain quickly. This Perumal Swami, who created so much problem against Bhagavan, he stayed in Tiruvannamalai till and at last in ashram, nearby ashram. He was looked after. So this is all a mysterious phenomenon. Somehow you get connected with a sadhu, uṟavu. Sāra, when the mind gets really linked to something spiritual, somehow. Physical linking is not much important. Physical puja without inward connection is not puja. That is why if you make a robot to do puja, it is not puja, because there is no uṟavu. Robot will do perfect puja. No mistake in mantra, no desire for dakshina. It is absolutely desireless and perfectly it will do puja, but it is not puja because there is no uṟavu. So that is very important. Getting connected. Uṟavu kol naatti. Unarvu kayitral earth. Muruga vangi kadaya. Munnikkume. Oro padamu romba important adala. Uṟavu kol naatti. It is like a pillar. in which it is tethered, the spiritual life is tethered. Uණarvu kayiru, like you churn butter, like that the kair is Uණarvu means jnanam or conversation, samvada. Muruga means with strong will. Vāngikkadaya, absorbing, and thus churn. Munnikkume, the inner experience will surface, it will come up. So, sādhuṟavu, sāra, uڵam, teļi vicārattāl, teļi vicharam, crystal clear vichara, enquiry. So you should have connection with the Acharya, and from there you get this Atma Vidya, and with that Atma Vidya you do vichara, plunge within, enquire within, do the enquiry within, meditate, and recognize the inner self inside you, in your real, you recognize your real nature. That is the thing that has to happen. This cannot happen by simply an academic teacher. Bōdhakaṉāl. There was long back one professor, every day he will speak on Upanishad. 1 week he will speak, and the last day he will say, I don't know whether all of you have understood. If some of you have understood, don't put the blame on me. It is not my mistake. I have not understood. So this is the thing. So bōdhakaṉāl, then ṇūṯporuḻāṭ, by knowing the textual meaning. You put it in Google, it will give you. I don't know what meaning it will give some meaning. Somebody recently wanted to find the meaning of kridanta, a small child. He told, find out what is kridanta. Kridanta is Sanskrit grammar. அது இங்கிலீஷில் என்ன சொல்லுவோம் அதுக்கு? verb. Sanskrit verb. What is its meaning? He typed it in Google. It said, kr means do, danta means dental. So it is dental surgery. The meaning for verb is dental surgery. So okay. Anyway, you get a good scriptural meaning also. That is also not enough. That is a good engagement. You can study. That is also a sadhana. Provided you have get a inner intuition. After that you go on studying the scriptures. That is also a tapas. Swadhyaya is a tapas. Then puṇṇiyam. In whatever sadhana you may do, nothing will equal the power of having intimate contact with a sage and the enquiry that happens as the fruit of it. That is very important. So next verse, sādhukkala vardhane. sādhukkalavar sahavasam nannināl ஏதுக்காம் இந்நியமம் எல்லாமும் மேதக்க தன் தென்றல் மாருதம் தான் வீசவே விசிறி கொண்டென்ன காரியம் நீ கூறு. சம்ஸ்கிருதம் என்ன? Sajjana sange samprapte samasta niyamaihi alam tālavrintena kim karyam labdhe malayamarute. When you have the presence of a great bhakta or a sage, a mahatma, your self-initiated sadhanas may happen or not. Your importance should be for that satsanga, not for the self-initiated sadhana. When you have that Malaya Maruta, you can simply say good breeze is there. Why do you need a fan? You don't need a fan when the breeze is there. And Malaya Maruta is such that wherever it goes, whatever tree it touches, that tree will be transformed as sandalwood tree. Even a rubber tree will become sandalwood tree if the Malaya Maruta touches it. This is the Kavikalpana, perhaps the poetical, what will you say, imagination, fantasy, or creativity. Avaloda bhavana, Kavi bhavana, Kavikalpana. The poetry, they say many things like that. Chintamani kuda solla mudiyadhu, irukka theriyadhu. Kadacha chumma viduvama. Chintamani illadhu. Idu eduthu thotta indha kaathu adicha chandanam aidum. Tālavrintena kim karyam labdhe malaya marude tan tendral marudam than வீசவே அப்படின்னு போட்டுட்டார் தமிழில். அது வந்து மலைய மாருதம் போடலை, தென்றல் மாருதம், நல்ல குட் ப்ரீஸ். விஷரி கொண்டென்ன காரியம் நீ கூறு. விஷரி இஸ் ஹேண்ட் ஃபேன், your own personal meditation, because you have so much joy, so much peace in the presence of a sage. What will you do by meditating there? Someone was meditating in presence of Bhagavan, that people do. And Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni, seeing them, remarked, see, the Purna Brahma is sitting here and these people are sitting there closing their eyes. The same story happened with Ramakrishna also. That is a little different. Ramakrishna was sitting and talking there, his devotees were sitting and some of them were seriously meditating. And you know this Girish Chandra Ghosh, he came there fully drunk and he was making such a noise that they got disturbed. And one person said, you are making such a racket here, we are all meditating. And he said, meditating, fool? Purna Brahma Vastu, Ishvara is sitting here and you are closing your eyes and meditating. So when you have that great blessedness, fortune to have the presence of a sage like Bhagavan, or not even, you need not be like Bhagavan, some devotees also, in the presence you have that Vedanta Charcha or Bhakti Charcha, Satsanga, it is happening. That is very, very important. Actually, to make us know the importance of Satsanga, Bhagavan has said that hand fan becomes non-essential when you have Malaya Maruta. So this all these verses are a continuity of Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nishalatatvam, Nishalatatve Jivan Mukti. Very, very powerful, beautiful order that verses. When you have contact with a Jivan Mukta, naturally the mind becomes Nissanga. Because the greatest sadhana is this to absorb this knowledge of the self. Without this knowledge, what will you meditate? People will say, we don't want this teaching, we will meditate. What will you meditate? You do not even know that you are not the body, then what meditation you can do? So the clarity has to come. True knowledge has to arise within. At least the breakthrough has to happen that I am not the body. This is the basic thing. Then the nisangada comes. Then first time the person knows, he feels a spiritual restlessness. He no more feels homely in the worldly atmosphere. Vidyaranya Swami says, in his Panchadashi, there is a verse where he says, what is the difference between a person who got satsanga and who has not got satsanga? Actually, it will look that it is better that you don't get satsanga. Because if you do not have satsanga, you will enjoy your worldly life. After getting satsanga, the person becomes restless. He no more feels the same joy, no more feels at home there. He feels, what is this? At the same time, he is not out of it. But soon that will fall off. Not satsanga. The dussanga will fall off. Interest in worldly things will fall off. You have got the contact, it will be coming in your mind constantly. Askalitamatihi. There will be, if it is bhakti satsanga, that bhakti bhava will be arising. Constantly, inwardly, you will be thinking about Bhagavan or Bhagavan's nama. Constantly that will be happening inside you. If it is jnana, then that Vedanta vichara will be happening, Atma vichara will be happening. And sometimes yoga also needs satsang. You have a good contact with a Raja Yogi, the mind becomes still, nishala. Sometimes satsanga happens in astral plane also. In dream also you can have satsanga. There are many devotees who woke up, who got jnanam through dream. Even one of the greatest Mahatmas of the last century, Udiya Baba, who lived in Vrindavan. For him, the jnana happened in dream. He took sannyas from Joshimat and was moving about as a parivrajaka, burning with desire for liberation. Studied scriptures in one place, but it could not quench his thirst. Searching here, there, inwardly asking, what is my real nature? What is my real nature? It is not simply intellectual knowledge could not satisfy him. He wanted the fountain head, to open the fountain. So with that fire burning inside, he searched here, there, everywhere. At last, it's a very interesting story that, this quest ended, where? The last stage. In mystics, they call it dark night of the soul. That you have burnt your boats, you have burnt the world. You don't have interest in anything. Your quest, your thirst cannot be satisfied by some story or something like that, entertainment, no. And it reached such a state that the fire burning inside burnt God, world, the so-called religion, everything was burnt. In the sense, It was almost like Nastikata. Such a great Mahatma later on, the last thing that happened in him is somewhere in, I think, Bihar, somewhere in a roadside temple, he was lying, a Shiva temple, he was lying there with his both legs on the head of Shivalinga. It was abandoned temple. He was not an Astika, he was a great scholar, born in a very orthodox family. And he has taken sannyasa from Shankaracharya. And he was lying there with his hand on his head and legs on Shivalinga. Akhandananda Swami says, Ashutosh to Ashutosh hi hai. Mahadeva is called, Shiva is called Ashutosha. Means very quickly he will get pleased. So, and he narrates one story also. One thief wanted to steal the bell above that Shivalinga. And he climbed the Shivalinga to take the bell, and he got liberated. He got Kailasa. That is the story. And how he got, because Shiva said, devotees will usually offer Bilvadala, but you offered yourself. So thus he got liberated. Like that, Swamiji was lying down there, he had a dream. In that dream vision, he had the vision of two sages having conversation. Intense Vedanta Vichara was happening. He was literally visualizing the darshana. Some devotees say they were Naranarayana, some others say it was Vāsiṣṭham and Sanat Kumara, something like that. But there was no name. Two sages appeared and they were having a profound inner discussion. By the time that was over, all his doubts were cleared. Hridaya Granthi, the knot of heart, was broken. The mind became completely free. There is nothing to do, nothing to achieve, nothing to attain, nowhere to go. Woke up from that dream as a perfect Jivan Mukta. And the first thing that happened after that is, it was terrible hunger. And he started moving from there. And I told that he came in a very orthodox tradition. So he will not, he has, till that day, he has not taken food from any non-Brahmin. Even Bhiksha, he was living on Bhiksha. Uncooked food, sometimes fruits or something he will take from some other people. And he reached a place, it was dark night, forest, sat under a tree. Two beautiful boys came there, young boys playing. They came to him and said, Babaji, kuch khaoge? They asked, you will eat something? The first thing that Swamiji said, yes, I will eat. Then naturally, in those days it is all possible. He asked, Tumhara jati kya hai? Maheshwari Baniya. That is what they say. This is a Vaishya caste. I think so. Okay. He said, nothing. He just asked, that's all. He didn't say anything. They brought some roti, buttermilk, many things they brought from nearby village. And sir, you are moving like this in the night? They said, we came here playing and saw you, so we felt like giving food, bhiksha, so we went there and brought the bhiksha. He took the bhiksha and slept. Morning 4:30, 5 o'clock, he was about to leave. These boys again came, asking, can we give you some buttermilk? He said, yes. So they brought buttermilk. They ran back home and brought buttermilk and put it in his kamandala. He took it and started walking. By the time the sun has arisen, he looked around, he found that it was barren land for miles and miles and miles, not a single house anywhere. He was wondering where these boys came from. He walked. After some time he asked somebody whether there is any village nearby. After moving some miles, they said, no, this is the first village after the place that he started. Then he started moving and came to Vrindavan. So the purpose is, satsanga happens, we are not alone in the world. Even spiritually, when you want it, it will be given to you. If not in this plane, some other plane, you will get enlightened. In Yōga Vāsiṣṭham, Janaka was sitting after a good cabinet meeting, political meeting. He was sitting in the garden, taking rest. Suddenly he heard the Siddhas singing some song, which was filled with Brahma Vidya, and he awoke up. Said, Prabuddhoham drishtashyoro yamatmanaha. I have woken up. I have found the thief who was all these years stealing my inner peace. Mano nameha, it is the mind. Hanmyeham, I will just finish him off. Manasasmichiram hataha, all these years the mind was killing me, hurting me. Now I will completely send it off, finish it off, erase it. That was Janaka's words. So, satsanga can happen anywhere. Even for Bhagavan, we do not know who came and whispered into his ears Arunachalam. Nobody did any research on that subject. They simply said some relative came, that's all. They had a drama of Bhagavan's life. RMCL people. In that they pictured very beautifully. Before this Bhagavan's listening Arunachala Nama, you see Shiva coming. With jata, shulam, everything he comes. Then suddenly he gives up his shulam and ties a turban in his head and goes inside the house in the form of a relative, and Ramana asks, where are you coming from? He says, Arunachalam. So Bhagavan's death experience itself is a satsanga in some other plane. So the Upadesha can happen anywhere. But when you have got a real satsanga means where the highest satsanga, of course, we said it is the contact with the inner self, and outwardly a true satsanga is that which awakens you to that knowledge of the self. It reminds you that you are the self, you are the Atman. You are that pure consciousness. You are not the body. This constant infusing this knowledge into you is needed. Through that you will get viryam. Sahaviryam karavavahai, as the Upanishad says. Mutually let us infuse that viryam, that power into us. If one person forgets, the other person has to remind him. Bhagavata says bhakti has to arise like that. Smarantaha smarayantasya mitho aghaugaharam harim. Mitaha means mutually. Smarantaha, one has to remember. Smarayantaha, one has to make the other person recollect. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. This very sadhana is one bhakti, and from that arises a higher kind of bhakti. Samadhi arises. Bibrati utpulakam tanum. So when you go out of a satsanga, a true rejuvenating satsanga, ecstasy, you go out with, now they call it goosebumps. For old books, they use the word horripilation. Which is better? Goosebumps looks like goose. But when you say goosebump, I always remember goose. That is the problem. Whatever term you have read, that sounds to you spiritual. That's the secret. Ramakrishna literature, when we were reading, they always use the word horripilation. But only recently I heard that it has another connotation.
Sounds like horrific.
Goosebumps sound like goose. What to do? So the hair stands on end. That we have to say there. So, Romanja. See, Romanja. That actually bhakti means samadhi. Swarupa spurti means samadhi. In Shivananda Lahari, Shankaracharya says that bhakti is like a mother. Her touch gives you romanja. Bhakti janani bhaktarbhagam rakshati anandashrubhiratanoti pulakam nairmalyataha chadanam. So, this is satsanga. Bhakti is without satsanga, no bhakti. In bhakti sadhana, satsanga is more important. Constant speaking and listening, singing, doing japa, puja, aradhana, always engaged in satsanga. Sajjana sangha. So you go to temple and see the Archavatara Murti of Bhagavan, that also is a satsanga. When you cannot get a personal satsanga, you go to Bhagavan. You know, Chidambaram is considered as the most favorite place of all devotees. The reason is, all other Shiva temples, Shiva is linga. No personal feeling. You go to Chidambaram, he is very, very personal. He is dancing in Ananda. So there is a personal contact. So you need a personal relationship with God to have satsanga. That is why when we name children, we have to name children with the name of the personal deity. Like Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Ramana, Ramakrishna, Hari. Something like that. When you call, you should be able to remember that. These meaningless names should not be given. And sometimes people give Nirguna Nama. That also will not suit. It will not give you that personal touch. You need the personal God there. That personal God relationship is needed. So when you go to a temple, that is also a satsanga. You get elevated. Divine Mother or Shiva or whatever. So that is also a satsanga. In that presence, many got illumined, many got namadiksha, many got jnanopadesha. So that way also satsanga happens in mysterious ways. Sajjana sange samprapte. Sometimes this fire of an upasaka becomes a guru. There is a story in Chandogya Upanishad. See, whatever tradition the guru has, the disciples will also follow the same route. That is a mystical law. Satyakama's story is very famous in Chandogya Upanishad. When he went to his teacher and asked for Upadesha, teacher did not give him Upadesha. He said, some cows are here, you take them. Take them to forest, stay with them. Slowly they will breed and they will become, when they become 1,000 cows, see, if you go to Vrindavan or sometimes in certain places in Gujarat, even Tamil Nadu, certain places are there where they have more than 1,000 cows. So it's not a exaggeration. So to Satyakama, he says, when the cows becomes 1,000, you come back. So he goes and have the contact, satsanga of the forest, with the trees, with the cows, with everything in nature. And his mind was already lit with Shraddha. So he stays in forest. One day, one cow comes to him and tells Satyakama, it called him. That is how the Upanishad says. We are already 1,000. Can we go back? He said, okay. Then while going, one of the bulls, it gave him one dimension of Brahma Vidya. He stayed in that state for some time, then started again walking. He has walked days away from the ashram. So next day he was about to take bath in a pond. There he found many water birds. What will you call them? Same. Dakkalla, madgu. Water hen, you can say. So that one water bird gave him a teaching. See how he looks at it. They all became alive. It gave him one dimension of Brahman. And next day, he found the birds, the cranes that are flying in the sky. One of them gave him the teaching. Like that, he got the teaching from various sides, from a cow, from a bull, from a water bird, from a crane. And while he reached the ashram, the Guru looked at him shining, radiant with Brahmajnana. So he asked, who gave you this knowledge of Brahman? And Satyakama said, it happened like this, that all these beings gave me this teaching. Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says, the Devatas entered the beings, the creatures, and they gave the teaching. Then the Guru says, I will also give you the teaching. The same teaching. Because he asked for it. Shrutam hi bhagavad drishebhyaha. I have heard that one has to get the teaching directly from the teacher, so that the authenticity is needed. It is very powerful. So you also give me the teaching, he gives the same teaching. Otherwise you are shining like a Brahmavit. So this Satyakama had a disciple, Upakosala. And that brahmachari also was very ripe, very mature. When the Guru finds that the person is very mature, the Guru protects him not only from ignorance but also from learning. So he is not giving him much teaching. And his wife, Guru's wife, Satyakama's wife, she says, this brahmachari is serving you for so many years and you are not teaching him anything. Give him something. Satyakama did not respond to that. He ignored it and went away for a long journey. When he came back, this Upakosala was radiant as it happened to him. He was also shining with the knowledge of Brahman. So he asked, who gave you this knowledge? And Upakosala said, see, a rishi has to maintain the Agnihotra fire. So the three Agni, Ahavaniya Agni, Garhapatya Agni, Dakshina Agni. So these three Agni he has to maintain. In that, when he is not there, the Shishya will do it. So he was doing that for Satyakama. But this Upakosala said, every day I was worshipping the fire. The day before, the fire I was worshipping was not like this. That is what he says. The mantra is like that. He didn't say something arose from it and gave me the teaching. No. The fire was not like this. It looked very different. The Devata was there. And it gave me the teaching. Pranu Brahma, Kham Brahma, Kam Brahma. This is the teaching. Only 3 words, that's all. And the Acharya gives him the same teaching again. So this is, see, it is satsanga. When the person is ripe, satsanga happens. Otherwise, even if a great sage is there, if the person is not receptive, nothing will go inside. Nothing will go inside. Ramakrishna used to say, directly under the lamp there will be darkness. People will not listen. There were people with great sages who just ignored the teaching. Even with Bhagavan there were people who used to tell newly coming sadhakas, don't very often go to Bhagavan. He will unnecessarily give you Advaita teaching. They were staying there and they will do that. So unless the time comes, the teaching will not go to your heart. But when the teaching, you are able to take the teaching, then only satsanga has happened. Then only the uṟavu has come. The uṟavu has happened only when the teaching is going inside you. You have bhakti, true bhakti for the Guru. When both happen, then all other niyamas become insignificant. Samasta niyamaihi uڵam. எது ஒரு நியமமும் அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒன்றும் வேலை பண்ணாது. ஏன்னா ராப்பகல் இவனோட சித்தம் சமாதியிலேயே இருக்கும். தாளவிருந்தேன கிம் காரியம். தாளவிருந்தம் அப்படின்னா விசிறி. லப்தே மலையமாருதே, மலையமாருதன் வீசுகிற போது விசிறி கொண்டு என்ன காரியம் நீ கூறு. இதுதான் இந்த பாடல். சாதுக்களாவார் சகவாசம் நண்ணினால் ஏதுக்காம் இந்நியமம் எல்லாமும் மேதக்க தன் தென்றல் மாருதம் தான் வீசவே விசிறி கொண்டென்ன காரியம் நீ கூறு. When Malaya Maruta is blowing, what will you do with Vishiri? So here Kanakama has said, this song Bhagavan has written to show the greatness of a jnani. In Devi Kalotram, Bhagavan has said, give up all outer niyamas, everything. You need not do this, you need not do that, no niyama, no scriptures, nothing. But at last he comes with one thing. When you see a jnani, இவ் அறிஞனை கண்டு இசை கரடம் மூன்றாலும் செவ்வி அகம்தங்கனி தீம் புகையும் திவ்யமாம் நீராடலாடையும் நெஞ்சுருகும் அன்பால் ஆராதித்திடுவார். எப்படி இது பிரிச்சல்? இவ் அறிஞனை கண்டு இசை கரணம் மூன்றால். When you see this Arinyan, this Jnani, you have to verbally do stava of him and fall flat and do namaskara. Ishai Karanam appuram Trikaranangal. ஆமாம், கரணம் திரிகரணம். சரீரம் மனசு வாக்கு மூன்றாலும் விழுந்து நமஸ்காரம் பண்ணி ஸ்துதி பண்ணணும். எப்படியெல்லாம் ஆராதனை பண்ண முடியுமோ அப்படியெல்லாம் பண்ணணும். பாகவதன் சொல்கிறது, இவன் the greatness of a householder's life, about which Bhagavata says, Tirthapada Pada Tirtha Trina Bhumishwaraha Varaha. What it says is, this Tirthapada is Jivan Mukta, Jnani. When he comes to the house, they pour water on his feet. Like that, they constantly have the visiting of great Mahatmas into their home, and by washing their feet, water falls there. Like that, so much grass has grown around the house. And with such grass in the house, that house has become a Tirtha Kshetra. Pada Tirtha. Trina. Trina means grass. Trina Bhumishwaraha. They are the Lord for such Bhumi, where Trina has grown by washing the feet of a Acharya. So this is what here Bhagavan says. Appadiye viduruvar. Bhagavan says they just get liberated then and there. Appadiye viduruvar ஆருயிரேயம் முக்தி மெய்ப்படியும் மார்க்கம் விருப்பமுளார் அப்புருஷர் பூஜை புரிவாரன்னோன் புண்ணியத்தை பாவத்தை ஏசுபவர் எய்திடுவார் என். Those who worship the Jnani, those who serve him, they get all the punyam also. And those who hate or sometimes criticize, scandalize, they get the papam. Jnani also will some papam and punyam some credit and some debit will be there. This will go like that, says this verse. So anyway, this is all for giving us a clue about the greatness of contact with sages and saints. Sadhu Sangha. The Tulasidas Ramayana in north, it is very famous. Ramacharita. It is all completely full of greatness of satsanga. Because the saints, they know that we are very weak. By our own power we cannot stand. So we need support. If we sit to meditate, our mind will go to places, choosing those places which we do not want to go. So you need very powerful contact by which you will be elevated. That is it. It's a very interesting story. Recently we were speaking that Swami Chinmayananda, his formal name was Balakrishnan Menon. He was an agnostic and was a journalist, very close to Jawaharlal Nehru at that time. And some little bit of, I think, communism was there inside him because he was born in Kerala. So he wanted to write against all the sannyasis in Rishikesh. He wanted to expose them through his writing that they are all parasites to society. With this resolution, he went to Shivananda Ashram. But that was what waited him was not what he expected. He was literally shaken by the saintliness of Swami Shivananda and many others who were there. And Swami Chinmayananda, there is a talk which he himself narrates. After 1 month stay there, my God, I started dreaming about sannyasa. And I told myself, this is not right. I have to escape from this. So I decided to do a special tapasya going to Badrinath. And you know what for? A tapasya to escape from this sannyasa thought. Himself, it is there in the YouTube. So he says, I went to Badri to escape from this power of satsanga. But I could not escape. I succumbed to it. And that was my end. Balakrishna Menon ended there. So, it's the power of satsanga. Satsanga shevadhir nrinam. Bhagavata says, satsanga is like a great treasure. Gupta dhanam, as Lakshmana Sharma said, it is Gupta dhanam. It is a great treasure. In fact, Swami Chinmayananda's life, when he came to Bhagavan also, it was like that. As a youngster, 16 years or 17 years, he just walked inside ashram. He was just wandering here and there. Like that, somebody told there is a Maharshi. So he wanted to see a sage with jata, long beard. Then he said, I entered the ashram, there was a thatched hut. A naked person was sitting. Everyone was looking at him. I also sat there, adjusted my eyes because it was blazing heat. Tried to concentrate from the leg, the body, the face. And I felt he was sleeping. That is his words. Because Bhagavan was with closed eyes, he was sitting like that. So he was apparently sleeping. But when attention reached his eyes, those two popped open. And it looked directly into me. And that split second, I recognized that he knew everything about me. And something happened. Something deeply stirred inside. Then I shook myself. I said, this person is a hypnotist. And went away from him. But later on, when he had the opportunity to be with Tapovan Maharaj, while doing Vedanta Vichara, he says, this contact with Ramana Maharshi was revived. Then I recollected what happened in that split second. What was revealed to me in that split second. So see, the power of satsanga is that even for a moment, it is a great treasure. Satsanga shevadhiranam. So, I think this satsanga topic is over. Oh. Ganga papam, shashi tapam, dainyam kalpatarustata, papam tapam cha dainyam cha hanti sajjana darshanam. Oh, இதுதான் நம்மளோட fever. The translation is, fever is overcome by the cool light of the moon. It's not fever, it's actually heat. But they have translated like that. Want by the good wish yielding tree. Kalpataru. When you have a kalpataru, it is the wish fulfilling tree. And sin by the holy Ganges. You take a dip in Ganga, all your sin is gone. Those three, the heat, actually it means tapa means samsara tapa, the suffering of samsara, and want and sin, all flee at the august sight of the peerless sage. Hanti sajjana darshanam. Tamil enna paattu? Tapam tan chantiranal, தைனியம் நற்கற்பகத்தால், பாபம் தான் கங்கையால் பாருமே, தாபம் முதல் இம்மூன்றும் இணையில்லா சாதுக்கள் தம்மா தரிசனத்தால் தான் ஏறும். The suffering of the world goes by the knowledge of the self which you get in satsanga. The purpose of satsanga of Bhagavan is, in Bhagavan's presence, mysteriously devotees used to get initiated. Even now it happens like that. Somehow, that Chinmudra of Dakshinamurti wakes up within. One look from him in the presence, suddenly you don't need to read the book Who Am I or talks. First you get initiated. Your attention is turned towards your own, the dance of I within. Amani ajaba japa. You are not doing any japa, but the inner being is pulsating within as I, aham. That recognition happens. The mind enters into that pure stream of primordial spandana, that mula spandana. That is the initiation of Bhagavan. This happens in satsang. यतो ममात्मा भवसि त्वमेव ततो न वाच्यं मम किञ्चिदस्ति यथा तवेष्टं कुरु मां तथैव त्वाम् आत्मनाथं रमणं भजामि। यदा